Inez Beverly Prosser was the first woman to earn a doctorate in psychology in 1933. She was representing South Central Texas and was forced to go to segregated schools. So this was a major breakstone in the African American community. The next guy we're going to talk about is Francis Sumer. He's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and he was the first African American man to earn a doctorate in psychology. Now, Sumer is important because he worked with a guy named Kenneth Bancroft Clark, who we're going to talk about in a few seconds. But before that, we're going to talk about Ruth Howard, who became the first African American woman, along with Prosser. So these were two of the first African American female psychologists in the early 20th century. Back to Sumer. Specializing in psychoanalysis, Sumer wanted to understand racial bias and advocated for equality in education. His protege, Clark, took Sumer's interest in educational justice and pushed it into action during the infamous Supreme Court case, Brown versus Board of Education. During the trial, Clark and his wife, Mamie, who was also a psychologist, so more females up in here, conducted the doll experiment, which revealed that segregation had a disproportionately negative effect on African American children. After Brown, Clark was used by the APA to help the organization transition to a more inclusive and less discriminatory research. In 1973, Clark contributed to the creation of the Board for the Advancement of Psychology in the Public Interest, which helped diversify the APA. Now, Clark and Sumer were not alone in the fight for educational equality. Armand Kennedy was the first psychologist ever to show that examiner bias had a major influence on intelligence exams. Before Kennedy, intelligence tests were used to justify the segregation of minorities from whites, following the implications of social Darwinism. Now, this social Darwinism gave scientists a moral reason not to invest in black communities, including in the realm of education, which would help give them an advantage for their interpretation of survival of the fittest. Yeah, we can see what's wrong with that today. Howard Hale Long and Albert S. Beckham also took special interests in the education of African American children. Long challenged the beliefs that black children were naturally intellectually inferior to whites by conducting research that showed the role of inequality in education on their performance. Beckham was also responsible for Howard University's first counseling center. He proposed that socioeconomic status or environmental factors played a large role in intelligence test performance. Now, during the Civil Rights Movement in America, coinciding with the numerous anti-colonial movements around the world, black psychologists felt an increasing urgency in their efforts towards inclusivity. In September 1968, following the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, the Association of Black Psychologists was founded by mainly young black psychologists, including Joseph L. White, who's credited with being the first to use the term black psychology in print. Their mission was to see the integration of the APA as well as confront the APA with the harsh truth. The organization had consistently avoided addressing the social concerns of the African American community, despite producing research that often led to discriminatory practices over the decades. In addition to challenging the practices of the APA, so the Black Psychologist Organization focused on bettering the black community through mental health and wellness services. Geared towards addressing formerly disregarded issues in the black community, this organization also challenged legislation that maintained beliefs regarding black children's intellectual capacity. This included reversing claims of mental ineptness that were imposed on children simply because they were of color and raising the importance of fostering environments that encourage academic achievement. During their 1990 international conference, their president-elect Dr. Linda James gave the following message: "We have come a long way toward our goal of institutional building, but we have a long way to go before we can function at our fullest capacity and make the impact we all desire." Her message echoes the perseverance of black psychologists, ill-equipped, yet they never gave up on a fundamental desire to help those and understand those in need. So now we're going to just highlight a few of the recent transformations of this powerful organization. So we now have the current president of the APBSI. She's receiving her award, her honorary degree, and this is just there to show you how far along we've moved from Prosser to now. Before there were no black psychologists, and now we have an entire organization dedicated to black psychology and addressing issues within the black community. So when I say psychology is activism, I am not just saying going out with picket signs. I am saying actively participating in scholarly research to change the tide of history that has always been against this community. For more, you are free to do your own research. I did not get a chance to fully embark on this journey, but I think it's a really interesting topic that more of us should be discussing. We don't really talk about this in history, and it's something we should. We should start a conversation. So thank you for your time. My name is Cheyenne Cooks, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.